Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I am going to be talking about the SH1900 for the Lite and how strong it is. So in this video, I am going to be playing Power Shift, but this is going to apply for any game mode where there's lots of lights. So the ranked mode, Terminal Attack, there's going to be a lot of lights in that, so this is going to be even more powerful. And then also in Power Shift, where there's also a lot of lights, this is going to be very, very strong. Not so much in World Tour, because, you know, the meta in there is still medium and heavy, but you can't use it there as well. It's still strong. You're just gonna have a much easier time making this thing worthwhile if you're playing against lights. It's like especially effective against lights, pretty much. So, it can one-shot a light. That's why it's so good against lights. That's why I'm saying to use it in these types of game modes where there's lots of lights, because it does have one-shot capability, and that's obviously very, very, very powerful, because you're still going to have another bullet in the mag to kill another light as well. So, I missed my first shot there, and I do eliminate the second one. Its fire rate was nerfed, but its damage was kind of put back up to how it used to be, so it can two-shot everything again, and it's just pretty solid. It's pretty consistent if you can aim your shots well. So, what I wanted to talk about was, should it be buffed or nerfed, really? I don't think so. I think you have to be pretty good to make this thing worthwhile, and the light sucks as a class in general. If you're playing World Tour, which is, like, I would still consider Cash Out to be the proper game mode. Don't know what's up with the rank system, what's up with Terminal Attack, but I would still consider ranked Cash Out to be the proper game mode. And so in that game mode, lights still really don't offer a whole lot. So when they can offer something, like with the SH1900, I think that's going to be okay. I think the reduced fire rate is good, because if you take one shot against a light, you're gonna be, like, very notified that they're there, and you might have a little bit of reaction time to pop down a dome shield or pop down a barricade or something like that. You're still going to have to play, like, really well to hit a lot of the shots, especially if you're going up against mediums and heavies and all that kind of stuff, and obviously the reload is very, very punishing. So I think this weapon's kind of naturally quite punishing in itself. You only have 2 shots. If you miss them, you're very, very, very open, and then you also have to reload. So you can't dish out any damage, rather. You just have to go and reload if you miss your shots. And then also, if you don't hit your shots well, you're not going to do much damage at all. And also, you have to be, like, super close range. So I think this is, like, a very fair weapon, because you have to be pretty good to make it work. If you're playing World Tour. If you're playing against lights, not so much, because you only need to hit 1 shot. But if you're playing against mediums and heavies, you probably need to be pretty good to make this thing work well. And you'll see here in this game, I actually die a good few times myself, because I'm just, you know, caught out of position because I'm a light. So, because the light class kind of inherently still sucks in Cash Out, I think that having strong weapons for the light makes sense. Maybe not the LH1, because I think that was deservedly nerfed, because that was a little bit too powerful. But this weapon's very punishing. You know, short max size, low max size rather, fast reload speed, but you do have to reload a lot, and you have to be super close to the enemies, and then also, like, land very, very decent shots on the enemies to be able to eliminate them. So I think all of that makes this a very kind of fair, balanced weapon, and I like how it is now. I like how it 1-shots heavies, I mean 2-shots heavies against 1-shot lights, 2-shots mediums as well. That's all good. I think this is, like, a very, very well-balanced weapon now. What I think is going to happen is, now that everyone has stopped using the LH1 for the light because it was nerfed, I think people are going to be like, oh, you know what? The SH1900 is buffed as well. Why don't we try that? And a lot of people are going to be like, oh my god, the SH1900 is insane. Because right now I think a lot of people are just going to be playing, like, Power Shift or some of the fun game modes instead of Terminal Attack and instead of World Tour. And there's going to be a lot more lights in those game modes. But even if you are playing Terminal Attack, there's a lot of lights in that as well. So I think a lot of people are just going to say that this is super, super strong, but I don't think it is. I think this is, like, a very balanced weapon. I think this is very okay. Because if a heavy RPGs you, congratulations, you're on 10 HP, and you're gonna die to a soft breeze after that. That's the danger of playing light, right? And I think this is very, 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 very balanced. I think this is perfectly okay. I think this is, like, as acceptable as the XP54 right now, because the light is just a bad class, and having a good weapon can make that class more usable, like with the XP54, like with the LH1, though again that was a little bit too strong, so it was deservedly nerfed. But now I think this gun's in a pretty good spot, so I would love it if this didn't get nerfed, and yeah, I would just like it if this didn't get nerfed, because there's been a long trend in the finals history of kind of nerfing stuff that the community thinks is strong. I don't think this is too strong. I think this is in a very good spot. If you're playing medium or heavy, they both have strong weapons as well that can kind of dish out large amount of damage in a very short time, like the light's SH1900. Like the medium is modeled 1887. That's very powerful. And the heavy actually got a nerf to the Lewis gun and the M60, but they do still have the flamethrower and the SA1216, which is like decent as well. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about the SH1900 a little bit, and you'll see here, and I'm using it in all the gameplay. I actually think I have a pretty good KD at the end of this match, and also it's just fun. That's another thing I didn't mention. It's like a satisfying weapon to use. It feels like good to hit shots with it, like you hit, like when you hit a shot with a sniper, like a headshot sniper shot. That feels good. It feels the same for the SH1900. So, now I'm going to talk a little bit about what I want to see for the balancing for the other classes. So the light is a punishing class, right? You don't have much health. You can zip around or try and stay hidden with the evasive dash and the cloaking device. That's always kind of been what it is. But it used to be better. Like back in the betas and back in Season 1, it used to be better, rather. Because the SH1900 used to be how it is now, and the LH1 used to be how it was kind of the other day before it had insane amounts of visual recoil. But right now, I think light this season feels a lot better than it did in all of the other seasons, and I think the devs have kind of deliberately buffed a lot of light stuff for that reason. They buffed sonar grenades though, and even though they were nerfed, they're still very solid. So what I would like to see is, I think light should be a strong class, but I think instead of making the medium and the heavy kind of feel really bad, because, you know, the heavies got a lot of nerfs to the Lewis gun and the M60, so right now the best option for the heavy is honestly just the flamethrower. So instead of nerfing the medium and the heavy and like making light the meta, you should just like keep light as it is and make the other things strong as well, because light is supposed to be a high skill ceiling class, right? You're not supposed to put on light, put on evasive dash and just go murder everyone. You're not supposed to 1v3 as a light. That's not going to work out for you, right? That's never what light was supposed to be. And I fear that if light kind of keeps getting buffed, because the devs probably want the light to be played more, because it wasn't played much during Season 2, or Season 1 even, I think it would be bad to kind of continuously buff light and continually make the other classes worse. Like, medium right now in ranked, like, why would you play medium? You don't have healing beam, you don't have defibrillator, and you can put on zipline or jump pad, but you only have one use, so there's not much point. And that's the entirety of the medium's utility gone. Like, yeah, they have a turret, and yeah, they have dematerializer, but that's not why you play medium. You play medium for healing beam and defibrillator. So there's not really much point to playing medium right now in the ranked game mode, because you can't heal anyone, you can't revive anyone, and you can't really offer much movement options, so there's really not much point playing them. So in ranked already, it's just either you play light and you play heavy. And for terminal attack ranked, most people are just playing light. But instead of everyone complaining about light and the devs listening to that and then nerfing the light, and then the meta going back to exactly how it was before, the light being sucky again, just buff the other stuff. You can make the Lewis gun feel like a gun that's okay to use and still have the heavy be decent. Like, just nerf the damage or something on the Lewis gun, but buff the visual recoil and the recoil pattern so it doesn't feel absolutely awful to use. Because that's how it feels right now. That's the same with the M60. Neither of them feel very good to use. I just put on the flamethrower instead, or even the sledgehammer or something if I'm playing heavy, just because it's so much easier, and it still does a very, very solid job. So basically, to kind of wrap things up, I would just very much like to see the light stay strong, but also instead of nerfing the medium and the heavy to make the light stronger, or instead of nerfing the light to make the medium and heavy stronger, I'd absolutely love to see it if light either stayed how it is or got a little bit stronger somehow, and then for heavy and for medium to like either stay as they are or get buffed. I'm just basically never a fan of nerfs, because it does always make things feel so much worse to use. Like this season, breach charges and sonar grenades were buffed, and now there's a lot more people using breach charges and sonar grenades, which means there's more diversity in what you can pick as your loadouts. If everything is like kind of strong, then you can pick whatever you want in a game and kind of come out on top in that match. But if there's several things that are quite weak, you're just not really gonna see them in matches so much, or even things that feel bad to use. Like the KS-23 for the heavy, that's not a weapon that feels very good to use, and so not many people use it. But yeah, there you go. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that. This gun's very, very good right now, especially in game modes where there are lots of lights. So yeah, there you go. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.